this series is a little bit different. Instead of just talking about marketing, we're going to be talking about marketing, working life, and motherhood. We're going to be talking about the juggle, speaking to women at all different stages of their journey, from pregnancy to new babies to like long-term working mums, to understand how they make it all make sense. I planned this when I was very pregnant and honestly just didn't back myself to talk about anything that was all work. So instead, I'm going to be blending it all into a series of conversations that I am really excited about, and I really hope you're going to enjoy too. As ever, please do get in touch at any stage to let me know what you think. Hello and welcome back to the Maternity Hustle. In this series, I'm interviewing mums to talk to them about how they integrate motherhood and work without any of that narrative about it being possible to have it all. Today, I had Jade Howes round, who's the marketing manager for Little Freddie's. Little Freddie makes nutritionist-approved organic baby food in pouches, like this delicious cheesy pie here. They're also the sponsor of this series. And Jade had some incredibly insightful perspectives on what it's like to be an employee in a business with all of that anxiety that comes around telling your boss that you're pregnant and all the fear and complexity of returning to work. Her journey, kind of rising like a phoenix, which was the metaphor I gave to her, from low confidence to high confidence to getting to a place where she's frank, she's not nailing her role, she's having a really good go at making the best of how she can be at work and the best of how she can be with her two kids. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and Jade's like frankness and openness. Every parent, wherever they are at in the parenting journey, knows that it is a whole mix of emotions. From guilt to joy, from magic to carnage, it's like a whole hot mess. And there are some things that we need to rely on to get us through that. Every moment is a decision and every day is littered with tiny moments where you have to question what you're doing. Whether that is getting up at 5 a.m. with your child to make the most of the beautiful blue morning, whether that's leaving them to sleep so that you can get a precious second to have a coffee, it is a mixed bag and we're all just muddling through as best as we can. There are amazing brands out there who really understand that and are making products that are fit for modern mums and dads. Little Freddie's, our sponsor for this series, is one of them. Little Freddie is the baby food brand for parents, designed to provide real food there for the moments where you really need it. This brand was founded when they were weaning their very own son, the Little Freddie himself. Each recipe is packed with vibrant, delicious, healthy ingredients to give them all that they need at that stage in their life. Founded by food-loving parents Piers and Taz, who designed this range when they were weaning their very own Little Freddie, the boy that this range was named after. Each product is genuinely tasty. It's filled with delicious, healthy, nutritious ingredients that gives your kid everything they need at that stage in their life. Since 2014, Little Freddie has been dedicated to making delicious meals for those days when you just can't get your head around doing it all yourself from scratch. And that's absolutely okay. We're all gonna have those days. That's why Little Freddie never adds any salt or sugar, and over 50% of their meals are plant-based. Their products are so ideal for parents heading back to work or juggling loads of stuff. And what is really important to me as a new mum, when I just do not have the time to read any of this, is that everything's crafted with a paediatric dietitian. It's quite hard to say that, which shows how much intel they have. And so you can really trust that everything is total confidence that it's the right texture, the right ingredients, the right formulation for your baby. I'm really excited about this because we've had lots of founders on in this series so far. And look, they have all this really interesting stuff to say, but if we're honest, it's such a niche experience.
Yes.
I run my own company, I'm in charge of my own life thing is not how it works for most people. And so when we started chatting, we were like, this is such an important angle. You've become the mum to two kids.
Two kids.
How old are your kids?
6 and just 3. Just 3 last week, which is very fun.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay, so 6 and just 3, and you've done that while managing a rising career in corporate, startups, but quite structured startups that have a corporate context, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is the thing, most people don't become mums as founders whilst they're working.
Absolutely. Whoa.
And I think, so I had kids actually when I was part of a massive business, when I was part of Unilever, and super early in my career, it's how I met my husband. He was also working there at the time, he still works there, and I was already a parent too when I joined Little Freddie, which is my first foray into kind of founder-led business, smaller businesses. So I've parented in both environments, and I've been at different stages of my career, obviously, over time in both environments, and it's been interesting, really interesting actually, because I think in a really big business, you have loads and loads of formal support around becoming a parent, but there's also more expectation on what showing up to work looks like, I think. Whereas what I found, certainly of Little Freddie, I can't speak for all kind of small or founder-led businesses, there is less formal process. That said, I've not had to go on mat leave or anything whilst I've been here. We have policies in place, of course, but there is a freedom of the expectation of how I show up to work as a parent, which I think is the main difference that I've seen, is that if I have had a shitter of a night, which is basically every night, everyone gets it because a lot of us are parents and there's freedom in that. So I can just show up and be like, I just need a minute to think about that question you just asked because I actually don't even know if I've brushed my teeth this morning, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
You didn't feel like you had permission to do that in a big business?
I think there was a lot more, the systems were so embedded that I think there was less onus on personal freedom to create that environment for working mums, I would say. So like, I think when you have such an established HR, you kind of are okay with the policies that are in place. And so you don't feel that, I found that people don't necessarily feel that you have to create an environment for that all the time. And I think that's at a very senior level. There's more hierarchy, I guess, is the reason for that in a really big business where there's way less in a smaller business. Like, I think it's the indirect implications in a really big business that create that challenge. My managers, unreal. I have had 2 amazing managers in big business that were completely supportive, and one was a parent herself and is a complete superwoman who I still look up to. So the environment was there, but I think the implication in the wider business is a little bit different.
Yeah. Can we go through like the nuts and bolts of, you're at Unilever, you find out you're pregnant, and like, I want to hear how you have that conversation with your boss, how you structure maternity leave. Talk us through it.
So that was a very, very difficult conversation for me because, you know, to be really personal about it, my husband and I met through the business. Everybody knew that we were together. It's a really conscious decision to take that leap, I think, in a professional environment.
As in to be public about a work relationship.
Yes, 100%. I mean, of course it is. Like, nobody would ever be entirely comfortable with that. That said, there was never any like challenge to it. Like, but I think I was pretty early in my career. I was an assistant brand manager. No, I wasn't. That was the second time. What was I? I was like an insights assistant manager, kind of working with like social insight and search, etc. And I just said, I was like 3 months into a new role, and I was like, hi, I'm pregnant. And she was like, oh, thank fuck, I thought you were going to say you're quitting. Because I must have walked in with this like terrified face, an ashen face, like how's this going to go down? And she was like, okay, cool. So what's the timing? What's the situation? Do you want me to tell anyone? What do you need? How are you feeling? And I think she's a mum. She was a mum at the time. She understood that pregnancy was not super like balanced as a thing. And so she was just super open with it. Second time, clearly I have a habit, again, was like 3 months into a different role as an ABM. And I was like, hey, I'm pregnant. And that time my manager was not a parent, but also was a really good friend. And again, was super sound. I think I found the conversations went better than I ever anticipated, but working myself up to having that conversation was really challenging. And I think more so because I built up the fact that people knew my husband, but I took that pressure on myself. Like, he wasn't showing up to work knowing I was about to have that conversation that day, super anxious. Like, he was fine.
The sweats
were. He was like, fine, like, let me know how it goes.
Why do you think you were so anxious?
I think because of the stage of my career I was at, it's not standard, like we might as well just face into it. It's not standard for someone that early in their career to be choosing to start a family. And I think I found a real gap in how strong my resolve was when I knew it was the right thing for me personally, and I didn't know if it was the right thing for me professionally, and being able to consolidate those two things. And I just didn't want the judgment. I was terrified. I mean, generally, I think I continue to be terrified of being judged. And that was the biggest manifestation of that ever, probably still in my life. And so I just was really worried about it. But I think I haven't found it to be something. I would never tell someone to be worried about it. I found it fine and quite fun. Like, people are happy for you generally.
Yeah.
Generally.
On the whole, most people are happy. So I suppose you're talking about what I can completely see, which is like a stigma against young mums, and this, and look, it hits different in every way you look at it, because there's the stigma against young mums. I know that there's also a huge amount of like societal pressure when you kind of hit the like what is deemed to be the acceptable mum age.
Yeah.
You know, you hit 32 and suddenly all the questions start coming in.
Yeah.
But your experience was that wasn't founded in anything, or did you feel that like prejudice played out in any reality?
I think on the whole it didn't massively play out in any reality. I think it was really self-inflicted almost, like this internalised thing, which I think...
It's not. Look, society has a story. You then internalise that story.
That's very true.
You didn't...
I didn't make it up from nothing.
There's a lot of... there's a lot of narrative that you're not meant to do as a career. You're meant to have your professional life, and then you do your babies, and then you go back to work. Like, that's how it's meant to go.
Yeah. I think I didn't find it crippling. I think people have opinions. People share opinions. It's fine. I mean, that happens anywhere with anything. I think that's not a unique position to be in. I think the thing that I only now, where I'm much more kind of comfortable, I'm a marketing manager in my career, I'm confident that the choice that I made to have kids didn't impact my career negatively. Yeah. And I honestly, I think it can sometimes, and that's a reality, as you say. There is just repercussions. We're aware of that, rightly or wrongly, not rightly or wrongly. But I think I came back from maternity leave every time like, there is no way I'm going to let this have a negative impact on me. I'm going to come back stronger. I'm going to come back really determined. I'm going to come back with this new powerhouse of a skill set I've developed in becoming a mum and apply it to my job and be completely indisposable and really fucking good. Yeah. And I think that's probably to loads of people that you're speaking to, is to everyone's benefit that we show up to work with that mindset.
Yeah. You're right. It's definitely a theme, but I'm not yet clear, we're on what, episode 5, 6, whether that mindset changes the same for everyone. So everyone says you come back better. But what version of better? Yeah. What was it that shifted for you?
Confidence, I think. It gave me, I think maybe that's associated with where I was at in my career. Yeah. I think when you're really early in your career, I'm still relatively early in my career.
You're all going to be working till we're like 85.
Exactly.
So there's time on our side.
I mean, we're all very early.
Yeah, exactly. When you put it that way, like really no one is their grad scheme.
Yeah. I think when you're that early in your career, or I don't want to say I lacked confidence. I was learning so much at such pace around incredible people all the time who had been doing what I was doing for 15, 20, 30 years longer. And, you know, wrongly, you have that barometer of like, well, I'm not as good as them. What I learned through becoming a parent is that I didn't ever need to be as good as them. I just needed to be as good as myself. And my benchmark was being better than myself, essentially, like growing to be the best that I could be. And the fact that I grew a tiny human, birthed a tiny human, looked after a tiny human through COVID, twice, through hyperemesis, the second time, I was like, for God's sake, I can shift some cardboard boxes of bleach. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Like, I can do this. I guess the confidence, therefore, like, comes from perspective as well, a little bit.
I don't think that, like, yes, completely, and I resonate with that so much. Like, I quit my job, moved abroad, and then left my ex-boyfriend because I would never have done that if I hadn't have had the confidence of the two things that had happened before, to be like, okay, I've changed all of this, so I can change anything else. And I always think that like confidence can kind of self-perpetuate. But I think for many women it has the opposite effect. Like, there's anxiety connected to becoming a mother, and there's like a disconnect from the workplace, and this feeling that things have changed so much that if you return to work, you're kind of going into like a total unknown that you left 9 months ago. Yeah. And I think you had quite a difficult time with your first baby. Like, how 100%. Did that anxiety then It's like you had this anxious time that then you came out more confident from.
Yeah. And that
feels wonderful for you, but like a bit oxymoronic.
It does. And it sounds like I literally just strolled back in after my first day of mat leave. I was like, I can do this. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Of course not. So yes, I had a really tricky time with both births in different ways. First time, retrospectively, I think I really struggled mentally. I think now, only when I was pregnant with my second or had given birth to my second, spoke to my health visitor, she was like, I think you probably had postnatal depression and anxiety and maybe a touch of OCD. And I was like, oh, okay, we're doing all the diagnoses in one go. Great, cool, okay. But it was really difficult mentally. And I think that was a result of not leaning on a village. You know that phrase, it takes a village?
But you were in COVID.
I was in COVID for most of it. So I'd say the back end of it, actually. I was mostly in COVID. My return to work was literally the first day of lockdown, which was quite something. And so naturally, through having a really challenging time on maternity leave and then going back to work, thinking you're going into the office, to your point that you made, the team had changed hugely. There was a restructure. I was going in and I was like, oh my God, I've got to prove myself, but I'm remote, but also I can only basically work half a day because it's COVID and I've got a child and nursery's closed. And so that confidence did not come overnight, but over time, after getting out of survival mode and like just spending time with people, having adult conversations and reminding myself who I was outside of that really challenging bubble, then the confidence built. And I think then the second time, after I gave birth to my daughter, after a really difficult pregnancy, I then was confident quicker that time, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that we kind of go through it slowly. Like hindsight and perspective does such magical things to this whole experience. So and I love that you came out stronger, but I just want to give the space to say it doesn't have to be straightforward and linear.
And it isn't, and it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. So not to be like, relive the hard bit, but like, let's just put on the record that it's tough in that like re-emergence.
Very tough. Like
rising
you
of
have
the phoenix.
Imposter syndrome and did I do the right thing, and mum guilt, and is my child okay, and is nursery looking after him properly, and also I'm a massive control freak, how do I give up control to somebody else, also the team's changed, do I even have a role, are they going to like me? That is a complex ongoing web forever. I think I was really lucky that there was at some point a tipping point that gave me the clarity that I was like, I think I can do this. And that doesn't mean that now I just show up and I'm like super confident. Absolutely not. Like I'm still terrified. Like have I given my kids enough? Have I given my husband enough? Have I given my work enough? Have I given my team enough? I don't know. Every single day, I don't know. So it's definitely a web and it's definitely not, I mean, the phoenix has not risen.
Flapping.
It's like,
trying to go up like a dodo. Yeah. No, absolutely not. You had a really rough second pregnancy.
Yes.
With a condition that everyone has heard of but no one knows much about.
Yeah,
Tell
I mean,
us.
Kate Middleton made it famous, basically, I think.
Yeah, you and Kate.
Me and Kate. So hyperemesis is... The worst thing about hyperemesis is how unresearched it is and underfunded the research into it is.
So what is it?
Great question.
I'm allowed to ask.
You are allowed to ask.
So that anyone who is listening to this who also feels like they can't socially acceptably say, I've heard of it and I feel like I should know it, but I don't know the details.
Of course. It's I'm going to fall into the trap. It's like morning sickness on steroids. And I think that's the hardest part of it is that so my experience of hyperemesis was that essentially for 5 to 6 months, I was unable to keep a sip of water down. I couldn't take, the iron and the vitamins that you're meant to have. I couldn't have them, couldn't eat. I was in bed. I was signed off work for 3 months. I was in hospital for IV drips. And that was all because I was vomiting literally 20 times a day. Like, no exaggeration. So saying it's morning sickness on steroids is such a understatement.
It's like anchoring it to something that's socially acceptable and normalised when actually this is a very unique, rare and really crippling condition.
So crippling. I think I lost like 20% of my body weight. Like it was mentally horrific because you're like, what is happening to me? Why can I not grow this child normally is the thing that went through my head. And that's a really difficult place to be because it's happening to your body. There's no one in your village who can understand how that feels for you. And the worst thing is that, you know, because exactly as you said, people know of it but not loads about it. That happens also sometimes with doctors. I mean, there's like 1 or 2 gems who like saw me and they were like, no, this is what you need. But if you were to go to A&E or to your GP, they were like, just have a sickness tablet or it will pass in a few weeks and all of this stuff. I'm like, this is not that. This is, and there is no knowledge of how to support women through it. And so that for me is, I think, the most isolating experience I have ever been through. It's unfathomable how challenging it is. And it's really interesting because I had a friend at work who was pregnant, I'd say about a year after, and my manager who was managing me whilst I was going through that was amazing, like didn't bother me at all, didn't have any expectation of me, signed me off like no problem, was really, you know, supportive of me personally, knew that girl. And we had this like community, the two of us, we were going through it and work didn't understand necessarily because nobody does, but we were able to articulate how shit it was. And I think only then, speaking to someone in real life a year after who was going through it, I was like, my God, that was really, really hard. Yeah. Really, really hard.
My chief of staff had the same thing with both of her boys, and we'll put a link in the show notes because she volunteers for a charity that runs helplines for women going through it.
Amazing.
So, like, I feel like she would kick me if I didn't take this moment to say that there is help out there.
Yes.
But I think it also goes to show how serious this is.
Yes, 100%. The fact that that charity exists, the fact that helplines are needed.
Because everything you're saying about how isolating it is when it isn't the language, and me coming at this saying, like, I know this, I know people, I've like I've like supported her or been part of her support. I don't think I went as far as to say I was supportive, but I was like with her during her pregnancy when she was going through this. And to still say, actually, I've got questions as to what this is and why it happens, shows how misunderstood it is.
Yeah, and I don't even think there is a why this happens yet, my understanding.
Really?
I don't think so. So, I mean, to be honest, I haven't looked into it in the past year or so, but at the time, just after I started to feel better, which was just after I gave birth, there was like one publication of research which suggested it was linked to some kind of hormone. That's it.
That's it. Because it's women's stuff.
Because it's women's stuff and it's not funded and it's easy to just say, it's just hard morning sickness, you'll be fine. But I think the other thing and the seriousness of it is that some women are not fine, and that's also part of it. And I think that helpline, is it pregnancy sickness support might be the charity, are incredible because they will help to pull women out of a really, really dark place. And I think the thing that did for me was when I was coming back to work then, where I had been signed off for 3 months, it was essentially like I had not been working for 18 months.
Yeah, of course.
And so I was like, I don't know what I'm coming back to. I don't really get what's going on here. I don't know what the team have done. I don't know how to add value. And I also was really worried that the lasting memory of me before I went on mat leave was that I was completely useless, which is obviously ridiculous because who would ever think that? But
yes, but it's a different experience to having your like, I'm going off, here's my baby shower, I'm tying everything up in a bow and sending my handover. Like if you're medically pulled out of the workplace, I can really imagine that changes the feeling when you go back in.
100%. It's I don't really know the word to put to it, but it's really something that plays on your mind.
Yeah.
Like it was a very different experience to when I first went back to work, where the anxieties were around the team's changed and, you know, have I still got it and what am I going to do, to have I lost credibility? Do I still have the same position that I had in the team, not in terms of like actual work position, but in terms of, you know, my relationships and all of those things. I was out for a longer time. 18 months is a long time. Yeah, exactly. It's a really long time. And mentally it had different implications as well. So
I'm going to take 30 seconds, and I promise no more than 30 seconds, to quickly tell you about what I do. I'm obsessed with startup marketing and I run 3 businesses. So the first is Upworld, which is a community for people in marketing. If you're feeling lonely or out of touch with other people in the industry, that is for you. or you want to upskill fast, that's your place to go. Secondly, Up Talent, which is my take on a recruitment service. I have hated working with recruiters, both as a candidate and a hiring manager, so I set out to design a process that was like heartwarming and magical for everyone involved. And then finally, Brand Hackers is fractional marketing teams for brands with big dreams. So if you are either a marketing director looking for help to fill in gaps in your team, or you're a founder thinking about how you structure marketing in the future, that might be the solution for you. When you went back to work that second time, how did the way you work or the way you built credibility change?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I had much more resolve going back to work that time. Like, I was much clearer. This is how I want to progress. This is what I want to deliver. This is how I want to show up. And so I knew actually that was actually probably the moment that I decided I want to move into brand. So at the time, I was going back to the same insights job.
Yeah.
And I loved insights. And I mean, we all know having a founding basis in marketing of insights is just so valuable and incredible.
As a marketing aside, what a brilliant way to build your career.
Yes.
To literally put insights as like the foundation of how you think about things.
Exactly, which was pure luck, but it happened anyway.
But it was to your advantage.
But it was to my advantage. Luck in every sense of the word. But I was like, actually, I want to be doing the doing. I really want to be part of building a brand. I want to do purpose-driven stuff. I actually knew exactly the role that I wanted to do when I came back to work, because I knew the person who was doing it, and I was like, I want his job. And I got it. And I was like, that was just because I came back and I was like, I have resolve, because I've got 2 kids and I've got a husband, I've got stuff to do. And I want the hours that I spend away from those things that really matter to me to be exactly what I want them to be. So that's it, really.
Amazing. Are you more efficient now you're a mum?
Oh, no, I'm actually not. Do you know what?
I love you for saying that. Because everyone's like, yeah, I'm like, I get shit done, I prioritise, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm a hot mess.
No, I'm really not. I do spellings with my son really late. I don't play games with my daughter the same way I did the first time I was a parent. I take ages to do things at work because my brain is really foggy when I'm not sleeping. I'm not banging decks out, really, really efficiently. I'm not always super clear. And they're all things that I link with efficiency. So I would say no. I'm always daily sacrificing something. And I guess in a way that for me is a marker that I'm not always super efficient. Although I think that's probably just the nature of life, isn't it? You don't get everything done every day.
I think because I'm fresh enough into motherhood that I can just like remind us all that that's life. That's not just parenting.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy
I've been doing
for
this
us
for
to fall
6
into
years.
I think it's easy to fall into a trap where we say like, there is now compromise when it was a life of everything
Very
being
true.
rich and full, and like I was never tired before and now I'm really tired. And like one of my leadership team always says to me like, I've been tired since I was 18, I don't know the difference. And I'm like, fair. I think it's really important. It's not to diminish the sleep deprivation that comes with having a child. Yeah. But it's also just to say like, it's not the only flavour of hardship.
And are you finding, so when now that obviously you're a mum and you're coming back and you're engaging and working your way, that efficiency, do you find that you're like trying to chase efficiency ever?
I'm very hot off boat. Like I don't want to put myself on a soapbox about any of this yet because I'm absolutely in learning mode.
Yeah.
What I have observed is I definitely have less time. As in, I've worked pretty much 7-day weeks, worked evenings until my brain melts forever. And I don't do that as a martyr. I do that because I totally love it and it's a pure choice. And if I'm not working, then I'm kind of socialising in a way that feels quite intentful, or I'm exercising. Like I've kind of lived at high octane on every front, and now I have just way fewer hours. And so I definitely can't do the like extra stuff, and I'm having to like spot opportunities of things that I could add value to and just choosing not to do them a lot.
I think that's efficiency.
I think it's a bit efficiency.
It's like strategic efficiency.
Yeah, the bit that I really hear you on is the brain thing.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy
just
out
like
here.
what is going on between my ears, and when am I? And I'm like, Googling the supplements, like how
do I get clarity?
Where do I go to just like somehow sort this out? But it's really refreshing to hear you say this, because I don't think we've had a guest on so far who hasn't said some version of, you know, I'm much better at my job because of this. And that almost pressurizes the return.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm better at my job because I can prioritize what's important, but that's like my mental perspective, not because I'm more efficient at doing things, but because I can put into perspective the things that I am doing. And I think that makes me better. And the big thing for me is I am more empathetic as a human being now that I am a mum. And that is, I think, for any marketeer, like, so extremely important, is to always, as a mum, you never stop being in learning mode, because you're raising humans who are different to you and going through different phases. And so you have to be curious about that in order to show up as a parent. And that's like number one skill for us, right?
Yeah.
And so I think they make me better at those things, make me better at my job. But no, I don't have a clue what I'm doing.
Amazing. So refreshing. So you left Unilever to go and work for Little Freddie.
I did.
Because you were looking for a parenting brand?
No, not a parenting brand, no. I left Unilever for Little Freddie because I had recently gone through Unilever's training scheme, which is called the Marketing Foundation. And I was like, holy crap, this is comprehensive. This is everything. And it's run, I think it has been run for many years by this amazing woman called Nina Oden. She's so cool, amazing woman, and has taught multiple generations of young Unilever marketers how to do marketing. And I came out of it and I was like, I know so much now, but I don't think this is the place I want to put it into practice. And I love everybody that I worked with, but I was like, I feel like the magic of this practice comes if I do it in tougher climates. If I do it where it's not that everyone is moving in the same direction, doing the exact same thing on the exact same brands all the time.
This is exactly why I left P&G.
Yeah, exactly.
Such a similar story.
And I just was like, I think I want to go somewhere where I have no idea how to do it and see how to apply it and how not to apply it, importantly. And that's how I landed at Little Freddie. I think it was just happenstance that I was like, I can do this as well because I'm a parent. And I think this is, you know, I could have a point of view on this. Yeah. It's why we're able to so succinctly and consistently show up as a brand that's for parents, because we are sitting there as parents who are doing the parenting as well. And I think that, for me, is the perfect articulation of where the magic is for the brand in the baby food category. We are from the pack, which is completely ingredients led, no characters, no animation, parent to parent. We speak to parents as parents. And I think coming into the brand just over a year ago to kind of build the brand is our superpower.
Is that an unusual stance in the category?
I think it's not an unusual thing to say. I think it's an unusual thing to live and breathe in the way that I know we do. And that's really easy for anyone to say, right, of the category that they live in. Like, we do X better than our competitors. And I don't think it's about saying that. That's not the point. I think the point is we have made strategic decisions about what we won't do in order to live and breathe that. So we won't do character partnerships, which make it really pick-upable for young children, because that is undermining the parental conversation. We will show our ingredients photographed as pure, whole, organic ingredients, which we buy, we photograph, we spend time making look high quality. Prune yogurt.
So someone can see the incredible... So this is photography?
This is photography.
Wow. And
our photographer goes and buys. They are organic ingredients. They are fresh. Which sometimes my team, they'll send me pictures on a shoot and I'll be like, that broccoli does not look fresh enough. Like, we need to zhuzh it up. And they'll be like, no, but it's broccoli. And I'm like, no. It needs to be. Make it better, broccoli. Come on, broccoli, show up. Yeah. And that, from that level of granularity all the way through to how we talk with earnest and honesty and clarity, is intended to be a really human conversation. And I think, you know, from the fonts we use, which are grown up, from the colours we choose, which are naturally vibrant to mimic the ingredients, that is the kind of golden thread of the brand. And I can say with real confidence that that comes from everybody being really clear that that is how we operate. As I said, our lifeblood, the reason for us to exist is because we were founded by parents. We are run today by parents, for parents. And ultimately we exist to give those parents a helping hand. We don't exist to say, have a cheesy pie in a pouch instead of creating a cheesy pie at home, if you can do that. I always use this analogy of the plastic balls and the glass balls. And there is this like mental tool that I have, which is that each day, at the end of the day, in the short time I have with my kids, I have a triangle of 3 things that I could do. I could have a little cuddle with my daughter, I could give them a bath at the end of the day, or I could cook a homemade meal. In that short window as a working mum, I do not have the capacity to do all 3 of those things. And so I need to decide what the plastic ball is that I'm going to drop that day and what the glass ball non-negotiables are going to be. Sometimes that is the homemade meal because the snuggles and the bath are more important. Sometimes it's not. But in those moments, there is a role to play of a really high quality, organic, parents-focused brand to show up and say, we're here if you need us, because sometimes you might. And that, I think, is a reality that has played through in how we've seen parents also respond to the category challenges. Like, it continues to be a really challenging environment.
Because parents have got spooked and are stepping away from the category.
They are. So the category is in accelerated decline, but qualitatively, parents are so pragmatic about pouches. They tended to respond and say, like, this is really helpful information for me to have, and I'm grateful for the knowledge and to be informed about my decisions. I can make better decisions now that I have the information about how often I should use pouches, or, you know, what the process is and how they could show up in my life or have a role in my life. But they mostly said, I kind of got that, and I think I'm comfortable with how I'm going to use them. And I think that speaks to parenting generally, is like many people would tend to be quite pragmatic about their choices, because what we never ever would want to do as a brand, but also just as human beings, is tell other people how to live their life. And I think as a new mum, like, you're pretty fresh to it. How many opinions, like, do we have all the time?
Far too many.
Far too many. And I think there's a difference between making informed decisions and having unwarranted opinions. And I think in this instance, as I say, like, the informed decisions come from the information. What we can't, you know, what we need to be really mindful of is that there is a reality that we are not chopping up mouldy carrots and putting them into a beef lasagna. You know, if you speak to our founder, he will tell you about when he goes to the factory, there is a whole, fresh, organic carrot that you would be proud to eat yourself that goes into making these products. And there is nothing to hide behind there. That's the reality. And that's, you know, the role that this end product plays in people's lives. It's a tool in their arsenal.
I love that plastic balls and glass balls. I must admit, when you started on the plastic and glass balls, I wasn't with you. It's like, where is she going with this?
Yeah.
But I get it. Well, how do you manage high stress and parenting?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I don't.
Badly.
Really badly. Like, really badly. And my husband, like, would be the first person to say that, is that I am still learning how to draw the line. And that's because I really like my job. Even in those high stress moments, I get meaning from it. And so, you know, for me to be a good parent, I find work a necessity. I find using my brain in this way a necessity. And sometimes, like in those really high stress moments, the balance tips over the edge. And so I don't always manage the stress very well. But I think when you do have a certain level of mental capacity, your kids are a really good leveler. They help sometimes, if you can tap into it, with no, they need me to slow down. And so I will slow down for them, but it's not always accessible.
And so if I play back what I think you're saying, there are times where there is no balance and you just have to be all in one and all in the other. And that's not ideal, but life.
That's life.
And in a less assuming that there's not a brand destructive headline out there on a more normal day.
Yeah.
On those normal days, it's just like how the two sit alongside each other.
Exactly.
And where the plastic balls are.
Where the plastic balls are, exactly. And sometimes work is the plastic ball. When you've got kids, that's just a reality.
Or maybe there's the showing up and then there's the going the extra mile. Yeah. And that extra mile stuff just has to go.
Yes. I think what you're saying is right. I don't think I am able to practice that yet.
Tell me a bit more about that.
I find it really, really hard to not see things through to like the best that I think they could be. And that's, the way that applies to me is that sometimes, maybe this is really shaming myself, but sometimes that means that I'm like really focused on being the absolute best parent I could be. Sometimes I'm like, this deck for this retailer, I will spend as long as it takes to get it perfect. And that is an unsustainable approach, I would say, especially when you're a parent, because we all know the phrase like 80% is good enough and done, right? And getting it that 20% extra to perfection is probably not worth the extra effort every single time. I find it really, really hard to let go of that extra 20% if I can see how to get there, but the effort has to be put in to apply it. So I think I find that is probably actually the crux of the challenge for me as a working mum, is that whatever I put my time to, I really want to know that I've given it my absolute best. And that's why I have to sometimes drop balls, is because I'm like, I'd rather not even touch the ball than do it and not feel proud of how I did it. So I think the thing that became really clear to me, I had never really, until I started at Little Freddie, thought massively about the emotional role that pouches play in people's lives and how important feeding your child is. I had been through it as a parent twice. I had weaned 2 children, but I was in the position of loving weaning. Like, I was fully into it. It was my favourite part of mat leave. 6 months came along and I was like, I've got the kit, I know exactly what I'm doing. The first time when I weaned my son was fully baby-led weaning. I'm making everything from scratch. He didn't touch anything from a packet until he was 18 months old. I literally did not enter that baby aisle except for nappies. The second time, and actually to the point that when my mother-in-law started looking after my son, I can't believe that I did this, but I literally wrote her, I want to say like 4 double-sided A4 pages of, this is how you will feed my child. It will be just these recipes.
Chill, low-key, daughter-in-law stuff, yeah.
Super, like, best daughter-in-law ever. Like, she hasn't raised 2 kids.
Going.
I'm like so type B. And it was like, these are the recipes you can make if you want to make recipes. If you don't want to make recipes, I will batch cook and give them to you. This is what he needs for this nutritional thing. This is why he needs healthy fats. This is why he needs protein. Like, basically a dissertation in feeding my child to my poor mother-in-law that day. And I remember it being like, I'm giving up control of this thing that's so important to me and that I've put so much effort into learning about, and I can't do it. I can't give up control. And I mean, she probably was like, I know she was looking, she never said it, but she was looking at me like, you are cuckoo.
Have you ever asked her about it?
No, maybe I should.
You should.
I should. And the second time, my daughter, enter pouches, I just didn't have the time. I didn't have the ability, the capacity to make everything from scratch. And I still did baby-led weaning. I still was really conscious of what I was feeding her and that it was high quality. But I was like, these have now got a role for me because I'm out, I'm taking my son to a class, she needs entertaining, she needs feeding at the same time, etc. And that is where, for me, I've understood the emotional investment people make into that decision is not just a convenient thing. It's a huge, huge moment to walk into that aisle, be really overwhelmed with all the opinions, all of the choice, all of the clutter, and say, this is the choice of what I'm going to put into my child.
And is there something for some mums in the pressure we're under to do it all from scratch? Like, there's still, do mums still feel on the back foot at the fact that they're in that aisle?
I haven't seen loads of evidence of that.
Great.
To be
I'm
honest.
so pleased.
Yeah. And I think, and I mean, I just challenge myself on that. There is, as an example, we have an amazing shopper researcher we use called Tessa Stewart. And she's
an icon.
Literally a dream.
If you're in the industry, you know
Tessa Stewart. I'm honestly like, I feel like it's like a massive coup that she's like working with us. Like, it's amazing. Anyway, she's been into aisles. She talks to parents for us and helps us understand like what their concerns are, what they are looking for, obviously. And they will qualify so much of what they say. They will say like, this is what I'm looking for. It has to be organic. It has to be really ingredients led. In the same breath, they'll say like, I'm really price conscious. And obviously we know there's a tension between those two things sometimes. Or, I'm going to use a retailer own brand. I'm going to use like this pouch because this is like a tool for me. And this one, like I don't really mind about this, but for this part of the day or for this meal, I'm going to trade up. And so I would say I don't think parents feel like they're on the back foot. I think they're comfortable with being there, but there's a justification in the decision they make for when they're browsing and then they convert and they're in that moment. And I think that's something that I would say is a little bit mirrored in like my friends who I've been, been around while they're weaning and stuff. There is a need to show that you're still making the best choice.
Yes.
And justify that. And that, I think, as you say, is like a real manifestation of the weight that people carry. Like, let's feed our kids. That's one of the many things we have to do. Right? There's 21 meals a week.
Yeah.
We're all trying our best.
Yeah.
And we are all probably doing our very best, whatever decision that you make.
Yeah. And like, it's a muddle anyway, and if your average is in the right place, you're all fine.
Yeah, that's true. If there's more good than bad.
Exactly. Okay, so I've learned so much from this. My final question: what advice would you have for someone listening to this who's either on mat leave or at the start of a journey thinking about a family or juggling work? Like, what can you sum up as your experience working for businesses going through this? How should someone navigate that?
I think the most helpful thing I could say as someone who really struggles to live and breathe this is to lean into it takes a village professionally and personally, because personally you're going on one of the biggest kind of journeys, to be really cliche, of your life. And I think accept the help. If you're a really driven person, if you're really focused and independent on your career and your personal life, it's really hard to lean into that. So take the help and extend that.
What does that actually mean?
I think I would say ask for help actively. I have always really struggled with that. I continue to struggle with saying, I need you to help me. And that extends into the workplace, right? If I can't do it personally, I also can't do it professionally. And when you're going through, telling your employer, maybe there's someone that you know who has had to tell their employer recently, and you can say, I need you to help me figure out how to have this conversation. Or you're telling your manager, I need you to help me figure out how to work while I'm feeling really poorly.
Yeah.
Or you're handing over, I need you to figure out how to help whilst I'm struggling with this mentally. Or you're really busy because you're a working mum. You say to your team or to your boss, I really need you to help me with this season of work.
Yeah, or to prioritise. I need to help get some stuff off my plate so I can do it better.
So I think for me, that's the big thing, is like live and breathe asking for help.
So accept that it takes a village, lean into that and be really specific in your asks.
Yes, definitely.
What amazing, clear advice. Thank you so much for coming, Jade.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. Please do follow us on Spotify or drop me a DM. Please do check out Little Freddie and their website. Their products are available in many places where you would go and buy baby food. I found that story completely fascinating, and I'm always on the hunt for more guests that can bring a fresh perspective to this conversation. So if there's someone that you think we should invite into the series, please do send me a DM.